year 2016 has been a big year for centennials. Earlier this summer, we've celebrated the 100th birthday of the National Park Service and the Boeing Company. 100 years ago, America elected its first woman to Congress, Jeannette Rankin of Montana. This was several years before American women across the country even had the right to vote. And a few weeks ago, my family celebrated the 100th birthday of my grandmother. Yaya Eli was born and raised in Cyprus, a desert island about 7,000 miles away, south of Turkey, west of Israel, north of Egypt, east of Greece. Mediterranean people are known for living fairly long lives, perhaps due to our amazing diet. However, no matter how much yogurt, feta cheese, and olive oil you may consume, living to 100 is still fairly rare. Everyone kept asking Yaya Eli, "How does it feel to turn 100 years old?" And she kept replying, 100 years old? Was it really necessary? Wouldn't 90 be old enough? She feels a little embarrassed, being honored for something she doesn't really feel she's earned. She can't pinpoint anything specific she's done other than luck. I had an ordinary life. I just had good health. I'd never had any serious illnesses. Until the age of 90, I felt like I was 50 years old. After 90, things changed. She broke her leg, made it harder to get around, and forced her to finally accept to live in home. A lot of her friends and family started to pass away in her generation, including 2 younger brothers. And there have been some high points meeting her great-grandchildren, my son and daughter, but because her children, her grandchildren, and her great-grandchildren all live in other countries, she doesn't see us very often, and it can be pretty lonely. But despite her ambivalence about the whole thing, we decided that 100 years made it necessary to throw a big party. Part of this stemmed from my desire to have the whole family come and remember what a wonderful person that she's been and what an interesting life she's had. She remembers everything. She's had an interesting life from the time when Cyprus was just a tiny little British colony up till now. If you think about where we were 100 years ago, all over the world, most people lived in small farms or villages or towns. We had to grow or raise most of our own food, keeping it cold on blocks of ice or in cellars. People got around with horses and ships, and it took weeks. We'd get long, eloquent letters that maybe wouldn't be received. We had to have arranged marriages. The dowry system was somewhat encouraged. The sun never set on the British Empire, including Cyprus. And now when she sits all day long in front of the TV news or in bed with her good ear pressed against the radio news, she hears about this crazy new world that she can't have imagined 100 years ago. We tell her about emojis and Skype and Uber and Amazon Fresh, Brexit. 100 years ago, things were very different. So we decided, yes, it was necessary to throw a big party and get all the family together. This year her birthday even fell on a Saturday, conveniently. I got everybody on the plan almost a year ago. Some of the local relatives in Cyprus thought this was a little risky, planning a 100th birthday party for someone who may not perhaps be there by then, but I put my foot down in Seattle and I said, listen, some of us have to book flights, have to take our kids out of school, have to get time off of work. We can't be typically Cypriot and last minute or superstitious about this kind of thing. So let's just do it, and if she's not there, it will be a lovely family reunion and memorial service in honor of her life. Having gotten these arrangements underway, I turned my attention to the media. Former journalist, I have a lot of friends in the local media in Cyprus, and they had covered a 105-year-old woman's birthday earlier this year. This woman had never left her village and was even less inclined to think it was necessary to celebrate a long life. so the article is barely 10 sentences long. But my grandmother, having had such an interesting life, she was the wife of a Supreme Court justice. So she lived all over Cyprus, she traveled abroad, she hobnobbed at state dinners with the glamorous Raquel Welch and the porcelain-skinned Princess Margaret. And she remembers everything. She loves to talk about the old days. Her favorite topic is probably the dowries of the 1940s. But you may not want to bring this up unless you're prepared to agree with her that no, it was not fair that her younger sister had a bigger dowry than her. But on the other hand, wasn't it lovely that my grandfather did not think a dowry was necessary? We had the party underway. The reporter went to my grandmother's apartment with my parents to conduct the interview. After 2 hours, she emailed me at a loss. I just don't think there's a story there, she told me, and I thought, that's absurd. In my journalism career in small towns, it was necessary for me to create news out of uncontested small town elections, endless PTA meetings, farmers markets, obituaries of people that I had never heard of and would never meet. After listening to the recording, I empathized because, sure enough, throughout the recording, my grandmother said, I had an ordinary life. I just had good health. Whenever things are about to possibly get juicy, reminiscing about a bombing or an evacuation or some high society event, my mother interrupts. No, Mama, that's not where we were that year. No, Mama, you're mixing up the Greek soldiers and the Turkish soldiers or the British soldiers. And there's a pause as I imagine my grandmother either gets confused or annoyed and resumes. I just had an ordinary life. Nothing special happened. I decided that I better write the story myself. When I got to Cyprus, I interviewed her again, and I sent my notes to my mother and my uncles in law for some fact-checking, and to my dismay, they then started arguing with me. It's not really necessary to talk about politics at all in the article. You don't need to talk about political events. People might target my grandmother, my 100-year-old grandmother, for the opinions she expresses about the events of the 1950s. Being a highly objective, skilled, trained journalist and a supremely irritated daughter and niece, I rejected this, and I decided that we would go ahead with the article, which went out to great fanfare, sold out all over the city, in part thanks to all the family members who came in and bought copies. I invited the newspaper photographer to come and take a picture of my grandmother blowing out her candles, not realizing my Uncle Kostas had also invited a TV news station to come to the party. So now the party, which was supposed to be this low-key family reunion, as we had assured Yaya Ellie, was a media event. Cameras and microphones in people's faces. How does it feel to be 100? I had an ordinary life. I just had good health. My uncle Alkis startled. He doesn't like a big fuss, so he rarely returns to Cyprus from England. Cyprus is the land of the big fuss. More startled than mendacious, really. He said, I don't speak Greek. I don't speak English either. It was a lovely event, and I think my grandmother really enjoyed seeing all the family members and being kind of a celebrity and queen for the day. And hopefully people will now visit her more and hear juicy stories about their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents. At the end of the party, before I had to rush off back west, get my son to school a few days late, and get to Montana for my work obligations, I raised a glass to my grandmother's life using my Toastmasters skills. I had to give the toast in Greek and English, which resulted in a very confused and ambiguous accent. We raised our glasses in honor of Yaya Ellie. 100 years, yes, it was necessary.